I want to take a moment to talk about Places Everybody one more time before we move on to additional animation. And that's the idea of paying attention to your Places Everybody and making sure that it's actually staying up to date. When we first started this last animation, we added in the idea that the reset for Scratchy Cat should be to go to the left edge of the screen, -200, 0, and make sure that you're pointing in direction 90. And then we had the cat walk across the screen. And over the process of making this animation, we started changing the costume of the animation, the costume of Scratchy Cat. And so the issue is that the costume can get changed and end in a bad situation. Now, at the moment, what happens is that, we move 16 times. We change the costume 16 times. Since there's only two costumes, that means we both start with the foot flat on the floor and end with the foot flat on the floor. And so no matter what happens, Scratchy Cat always starts foot flat on the floor. Now, the reality is it probably doesn't matter whether he starts foot flat on the floor or not, but it might to us. And in fact, with some of the costumes that we'll look at later in this course, it will matter. And so suppose we wanted to make sure that we always start foot flat on the floor. And you say, how might you not end that way? Well, I can see two ways that might happen. One would be, suppose we change this number of steps. Suppose instead of 25 steps, we start going to 15 steps. Okay, I want him to move 400, so 400 divided by 15 steps at a time means that he really needs to move 27 times. So I would say change this to 27 times, and now you notice that he starts foot flat on the floor, and as he moves across the screen, he eventually gets to the point where he ends, and now the foot is not flat, and so he starts not flat. And if that mattered, right, then we'd want to reset it. The other thing, you say, well, I said there were two ways. The other way that it could happen is just if you're running the program, right, when I stop the program, it may stop in a different mode, right? So right now I'm getting unlucky. He's always stopping with his foot up. But oh, sure, now that I'm trying, I can't actually catch him with his foot down. Depending on the situation, when I hit stop, we have no way of knowing how he's going to end, foot up or foot down. And that's going to change things. And again, this will become a bigger deal as we move on with the course and we do more and more involved things. But I like to bring this to your attention very early on. If I think it's important that the cat always start in the mode where his foot is flat on the floor, I'm going to add into my Places Everybody the idea of go to the left edge, make sure you're pointing in the right direction, and make sure you have the right costume. Add that into your Places Everybody so that no matter what happens, now, even if I happen to stop when his foot's up in the air, I can't seem to catch it with the stop sign today. Some days are better than others. But I do know that if I walk all the way across the screen, he ends with his foot up in the air. But now when I say Places Everybody, he goes back to flat foot. And we want to kind of keep that in mind. As you develop and add into your programs, add into your Places Everybody, your reset action, whatever the situation, anything that can change in any capacity, we want to add that to the Places Everybody to make sure that the cat or whatever sprite we're working with starts in a continuous, consistent manner.